Hello and welcome to the third Minesweeper tutorial. Today we are going to take a look at auto-filling boxes. If you notice, if you click on this Google Minesweeper, if you click on one with 0 lines around it, it automatically fills that section. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Let's go into the number sprite and we're going to fix something real fast. We need to move the subtract 1 to the shown index before we do the mod. And we also need to do that with the y. So we need to subtract shown index minus 1 before we divide by grid width. Let's head back into our map sprite. And we're going to start by creating a new list and calling it shown. We're going to add 0 to shown and delete all of shown when we're generating the map. And if you notice, if we click the green flag, we should have a length of 100 if your grid width and height is 10 by 10. And then in the when I start as a clone, we want to have the repeat until be an or mouse down and touching mouse pointer or item of clone index of shown is equal to 1. So now we should be able to actually show them manually if you put 1 into the shown. Okay, let's head back into our number sprite. And let's find this show number block. And we're going to actually pull our first part of our script that gets them out of mines around a square, and we're going to pull the rest up to the very top of the shown number. We're actually going to create a new block. We're going to call it get them out of mines, and then click run without screen refresh. Let's scroll up and pull out a when I receive. We're going to actually create a new message and call it get amount of mines. And let's pull out our newly created block, get amount of mines, and we're going to run that. But let's go into our map sprite and broadcast get amount of mines after we set the shown index to clone index. It should still be working the same, so be sure you check that. Let's pull out an if statement, and let's also pull out a background of stage, and we're going to change stage to numbers and then background to mines. And we're going to have that, if that is equal to 0, we're going to have that underneath our get amount of mines. And pretty much what this is doing in our number sprite, it sees what that variable is set to. And if it's 0, then we want to show all the squares around it. And to show the numbers around it, let's create a new block and call it shown around an index. And let's add an input called index and also click run without screen refresh. Let's put this new block in our if statement we just created and put clone index in our index spot. And let's move shown up underneath our get amount of mines. Let's go back into our number sprite and actually let's drag our get amount of mines script into our map sprite. And we're going to have to replace all of our if-thens with a replace item of, and we're going to take the item it has in the if then, where we get the item of map, and we want to replace that of shown with 1, and that will show it where it will show it all the squares around it. So again, it just replace all of the item of map blocks with replace item of, and then we want to just replace the item of with our item we're getting from the map. And we want to replace it with 1. And that will be our shown around index script. And then one other thing is we need to also replace the shown index with our index variable from our customs block. So replace all the shown indexes with our index variable. So what we're doing here is we're using our if then from the clone where it checks if its index is 1 in the shown list. If it's 1, it'll show it automatically. We're going to use that to show each of these squares, and this will create a rippling effect because one clone gets shown and now it shows all these other ones, and then these ones also run the same thing, so they'll show the next ones and so on and so forth. And now if we test this, it is broken, and I'll explain why in a minute. But let's create a new list, and we're going to call it show number indexes for all sprites. And we're going to delete all of this list where this green flag is clicked. And let's pull out and add to show number indexes. And let's delete the broadcast shown. We'll add clone index to show number indexes after we broadcast get amount of mines. Let's go into our number sprite and plot a forever loop after we hide during the when green flag clicked. We're going to plot it if, we're going to have it if the length of our show number indexes is greater than 0. That means if there's anything in it, then we're going to loop through and show our number. Let's edit our show number block and add an input of index. And then we want to show the number of the first item in the show number indexes, and then after that delete item 1 of the show number indexes. So that way we go through the first one, and then it deletes that first one, and then go to the second one, which is now the first one, and it'll go loop through everything. And in our show number indexes, make sure we switch the shown index variable for our index variable of the block. Let's then run get amount of mines at the beginning of our show number block. Let's also edit get amount of mines and add an input of index. And in our show number block, let's drag the index to the input of our get amount of mines. And in the when I receive get amount of mines, let's have shown index as our input. And then we need to make sure we replace all the shown index variables in our get amount of mines block with our new created index input. This will allow us to easily change what index we're looking at, which will allow us to do some other things in the future. You notice you might notice it might not be working very well when you run it, and I'll show you why. Really fast, make sure your show number indexes are working. So if I die, you can see I have indexes in our list. So let's go to our map sprite. Let's remove our if mines of numbers is equal to 0. Just put it to the side for now. And the reason that's breaking it is because right now it's broadcasting a message. And when it broadcasts a message, and it broadcasts another message, like at the same time, it overrides another message, which will make our numbers of our mines off. And it might be for like a different get amount of mines might be for a different tile. So what we need to do is we need to delete the get amount of mines message in our number sprite. And we're going to create a new list and we're going to call it mines around for all sprites. And what we're going to do is we're going to store how many mines are around each index. And we're going to do this at the very beginning of our game. To do this, let's pull out a repeat block and repeat right before our forever loop. So let's create a new variable and call it index for this sprite only. And we are going to repeat until index is greater than the length of the map. And we want to do this after our hide in the green flag when the green flag is clicked. After we wait 0 seconds. Because we don't want that to happen before we finish generating the map. In our repeat until, let's add mines to mines around after we get amount of mines of index, and then we want to change the index by 1. And then in our show number block, we actually want to delete our get amount of mines block because now we can access it through our new list. So what we can do is have item of index of mines around. And now what we can do is go into our map sprite, and instead of having mines of numbers, we can get item of mines around. So item clone index of mines around is equal to 0. Then we'll do that. And let's pull it out for just a second and make sure it works. So you might have a couple problems, and it looks like I do. And I want to head over to the number sprite because I think that's where it is. And yeah, we have, make sure you have mines around to set mines because that will make it not work. Anyway, it looks like I have another problem. In get amount of mines, make sure you have all the shown indexes for the index because you do not want that to be shown indexes because we're not really actually using that very much anymore. Okay, now it should mostly work. There's a couple things we'll need to fix real fast as well. First off, we need to delete all of mines around before we do our repeat until. And in our map sprite, I actually want to broadcast a new message that we're going to call setup numbers after we generate everything in our map. So at the bottom of our green flag clicked, and we're going to move our delete lines around and everything underneath that with, I'm going to do that when I receive setup numbers, and make sure we set index to 1 because we don't want it to start somewhere else in the list. Alright, let's go back to our map sprite, and I believe we can pull this right in after our add clone index. And if you notice, it should actually work now, which is amazing. Though it is a little bit glitchy, we can actually create a new block and we call it setup around mines, run without screen refresh. And we're going to do setup around mines, and we're going to use our setup, so our delete mines around and set index and all that stuff. And that'll help just a little bit in getting everything set up faster. And then we're also going to create a new block and we call it show all numbers, but run without screen refresh. And we're going to pull our content from the if length of shown number indexes is greater than 0, and we're going to pull that underneath our show numbers, and we're going to run show all numbers, and we want to repeat until show all numbers is equal to 0. And now it looks really satisfying, really cool. one thing just to add a little tiny effect, I'm going to wait 0 seconds before showing a round index. That way it kind of like spreads across and it'll make it look really cool. And it should, for the most part, be working. Let me know if you have any issues with this. And I'm actually going to try and set mines to 10 and have some fun with that. Because you can get some really cool looking maps. And honestly, it's super satisfying having it flow across the screen. Next time, we'll be working a little bit with our mines, which would be really cool. And we'll go from there. We'll see you next time.